If you've ever felt like you aren't financially comfortable, or if you don't feel like you have extra money at the end of the month, take a careful look at this. Cars might seem insignificant compared to your overall spending, but the reality is that they could very well be robbing you of a comfortable financial situation. A car alone could be holding you back, so be sure to see why this one item can be so detrimental. My name is Chris, and I help teach people about money, personal finance, and investing. If you want to become financially free and not have to worry about money, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video if you find it helpful. Just about everyone loves a shiny car with that new car scent and all of the modern features. There's nothing else quite like it that really shows you're doing well financially. An expensive car is a sign of wealth and success, at least that's what some people think. In reality, most people driving nice cars are in debt and have spent more on that car than they should have. With the average new car payment of $716 per month and the average used car payment of $526 per month according to Bankrate, this is not fit for the average budget. It's extremely common for people to spend way more than they should on a car, which results in having little to nothing left over. That car payment is so large that it's painful to make that payment every month, and every other expense is dwarfed in comparison. There's nothing left over to save for a rainy day, enjoy a meal out, or invest into a home, all of which could be done if there were no large car payment. Instead of keeping their transportation expenses to a very low percentage of their income, some people feel the need to spend as much as their income can possibly handle on a vehicle, and sometimes it means cutting back in other areas to make up for it. If you have $1,000 in your budget that could be spent on a car, that doesn't mean you should spend all of that money. It would be a better choice to set aside $200, $300, or $400 per month for a car and keep the rest of it for something that doesn't sit parked in your driveway for the majority of every single day. Think about it. If you drive your car for 1 hour every day, that means it's parked 96% of the time. That's a pricey lawn ornament. If you're like most people, you're financing a car instead of paying cash because you can't afford to buy it outright, but this isn't free. There's actually a pretty significant cost to this. Your credit, income, and other factors will ultimately determine your interest rate for a car loan, and this has a huge impact on the overall cost of car ownership. According to NerdWallet, the average interest rate on a new car is about 6%, and the average interest rate on a used car loan is about 10%. Let's say you borrow $35,000 on a used car for 60 months with an interest rate of 10%. By the time the loan is paid in full, you will have spent about $9,600 in interest alone. Not the end of the world when you consider opportunity cost, but when you do this time and time again, it adds up to be a huge amount spent on just interest. Even if you have good credit, you're still throwing thousands of dollars away to the bank, and this behavior often has no end in sight. Borrowing money to buy a car can be costly when it comes to interest, but the real problem is that you're borrowing money to purchase something that goes down in value or depreciates. Some people use leverage to make exponential investment returns, and some people use leverage to buy things that go down in value. The more you spend on a car, the more the car is going to depreciate during the time that you own it. When you buy a car that's a handful of years old, the first owner took the largest hit in terms of depreciation. The amount of depreciation you'll incur depends on various factors, such as how many miles you drive, the brand of vehicle, and its condition. You can expect a new car to lose about half of its value in just 3 years. There are many cars that hold their value better, and some worse, but let's use this for a clear example. With the average new car price of about $50,000, according to Kelley Blue Book, that car will only be worth about $25,000 in 3 years, meaning the car depreciates almost $700 every month. If the car loses 40% of its value in the first 3 years, you've still lost $20,000 or $555 per month to depreciation. In most states, there's sales tax that you must pay when you buy a car, further adding to the cost. If your state charges 5% sales tax on cars, that $50,000 purchase will incur an additional $2,500 in taxes. You might get a credit on the tax if you trade a vehicle in, but it's still an expense that would be minimal on a cheaper car. Furthermore, insurance costs are almost always going to be higher for newer cars. Even though they might have additional safety features, The car's value plays a big part of the cost. The insurance company is going to have to fix or replace the car in the event that it's damaged, and the more expensive the car, the more it's going to cost to replace. You need to realize that you're always going to have a car payment in one form or another unless you're relying on free transportation. The craziness of the car market over the past few years when used car prices rose shouldn't be considered the norm. Unless you're buying collector's cars as an investment, there are always expenses associated with cars. Even a car that's owned outright has a cost associated with it. You might not have a monthly payment, but the car is still losing value on a regular basis. In addition, the car needs maintenance. Even if it doesn't break down, the tires, brakes, and suspension are all wearing out literally every single time you drive it, and this has a cost. Buying a used car should be seen as a way to reduce your car ownership costs, not eliminate them. It also goes without saying that you don't want to buy a complete piece of junk either. Something that breaks down every week is probably going to cost you even more money than a new one. Plus, it will just be one headache after another. This is not what people are talking about when they talk about buying a used car to save money. Think of buying a car that's already lost a lot of its value to depreciation, but still has quite a few years of life left in it before it starts giving you more trouble than it's worth. Between the interest, depreciation, high insurance, and taxes on a brand new car, you might be spending $1,000 or more per month in total. A good used car will save you money on all of those things, but you're likely going to have increased maintenance costs. The components are older and will need to be maintained. If the increased maintenance costs combined with lower amounts of depreciation, lower insurance premiums, and less taxes comes out to $400 per month, you're still saving $600 every single month. If you invested the money that you saved by not buying an expensive, newer car every few years, you'd be amazed at how much you accumulate over time. By purchasing a reliable used car instead of something pricey, you could easily realize a savings of $600 per month. If that $600 were invested into the S&P 500, earning an average return of 10% per year, you'd have nearly $1.4 million over the course of a 40-year career. This is after adjusting for a 3% inflation rate, and it increases contributions with inflation. There's no denying the fact that 40 years is a long period of time, and there are a lot of variables with this example, but compare it to the alternative of throwing an additional $600 per month away for the sake of having a nice car. You can also invest this money in other ways, by taking your family on vacations to foreign countries or by paying your mortgage down so you can live a debt-free lifestyle. For those that really enjoy driving expensive cars, it might be worth the financial sacrifice, but most people will see it as a complete waste of money when they analyze it with a clear frame of mind. If you're just buying new cars every few years to look rich or because that's just what everyone does and you have to have the latest and greatest, you might want to take a hard look at your priorities and ask yourself why you care about looking rich at all. Don't feel pressured to buy a brand new car just because your peers do. A fancy car might make people look rich, but if you were to see the full picture, you'd realize that most of them are drowning in car payments. Do you really want to make other life sacrifices for a car?